Welcome to Frikkity Frak. We do talk back. Thank you for joining us in this episode.
Hello, my name is Patrick, and I'm Frak.
Hello, my name is Jeff, and I'm Frik.
Frikkity Frak, We Do Talk Back is a show where we discuss different aspects of fandom and how they relate to the gospel. Now, today we will be interviewing a special guest. He is a star of My Hero Academia, Dr. Stone, Black Clover, and a myriad of other shows. So please join us in welcoming Ricco Fajardo. We'd like to welcome Ricco Fajardo to the show. You might know him as Mirio or Lemillion from My Hero Academia, Taiju from Dr. Stone, Nozzle from Black Clover, and for my mother, Jehoshaphat from The Chosen.
So I punched an apostle, Simon. Thank you for that, Mom.
So thank you for joining us, Ricco.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And we're very excited to have you on this morning. So one of the first questions I want to ask you is, how did you get started in acting and doing theater and things like that?
Oh gosh, I know our lovely audience didn't get a chance to hear us powwowing because we've been chatting for a little bit before the show, just catching up a bit. High school, a lot of things happen in high school, friends.
That's right.
And my formative years of high school, I moved around a lot. I come from a military family, and I did one move that did not benefit me too well. I went from a California education system to Nevada. Not that it's like bad, it's just a lot of credits I had while I was an AP student in California did not transfer to Nevada. So I wound up going from being graduating early to now being a remedial student. So when I went to, it was a bummer, man. Kind of a shot to my like scholastic heart. I'm like, oh, I thought I was doing good. Anyway, long story short, too late. I take a bunch of intersession classes and summer classes, and my counselor then was like, listen, we need to get your GPA up. Let's go ahead and put you in a class that we know you're going to get an A in without trying too hard, and that is theater. So I took a theater class with my lovely high school teacher. Let's give it up for teachers, man. Brent Matthews. Brent Matthews taught my first acting class, and when I graduated from good old Hug High School in Reno, Nevada, he told me he gave a letter to each senior student who was graduating, a personalized letter with like a personalized question. And essentially in this letter, I still have it somewhere, actually, probably one of these cases back here, my old memory boxes. It's a letter written from Mr. Matthews that says, hey, if you have any doubt as to whether or not you could do this acting thing professionally, I want to put that to rest. I think you can do this. You have what it takes, talent, looks, determination. You just need to get some education. And that dude was the beginning of a long journey. I mean, like, it's funny when one person believes in you, you're like, yeah. So that was kind of the beginning in high school when I decided to go down the acting track. And I know there's a second component to this question, but I started going down memory lane, and I got lost in the weeds a little bit.
It's all right.
Well, it actually leads up to a follow-up question that we do have. So what would you call your breakout role? What role was it for you that you, like, after you landed it and you got to, and you kind of secured yourself in there, that you knew, I can actually do this?
I wanted to say cop number 2 in my first theater production. Because I hit my buddy so hard with my little plastic billy club that it like went rocketing into the crowd, and I was like, I love theater. So excited.
No turning back after you hit your friend.
Wow, it wasn't even cop number 1 though. Wow.
No, bro. No, I was cop number 2. And that was something I learned from Mr. Matthews. I remember him telling me in my final year, he'd said we did a production called Rossum's Universal Replicants. It's about kind of like a cyberpunky kind of Blade Runner kind of world where robots end up taking over everything. And I played a character named Primus. He shows up at the very end of the show, and he is like a robot that essentially like falls in love, which they're like, wait, robots feel like, and that's the takeaway, right? Is that like, wait, like this is what it's about. It's about, it's about love. And I was kind of bummed because it was the smallest part in the whole show. And my teacher was like, well, if you're actually going to do this acting thing, you need to realize that a small role doesn't necessarily mean like a small part. Like you can, this part is enormous in terms of the storytelling of the show, and I need someone who can tell this story with sensitivity and honesty. And of course, you're in high school. I'm a senior. I'm like, man, that's stupid. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just want all the lines, right? Because lines are commiserate, are equal to the value of the role, right? It's like that's the value. I'm like, no. And now, of course, now that I'm an old wise man, I have a voice filter for this. Now that I'm older and wiser, I do see that. I see that it is these graceful things that in life, these small little interactions sometimes that mean the most. But sorry that I'm very tangential. Breakout role. Let's see. I mean, I guess it has to be. I mean, it kind of has to be Mirio. I feel from My Hero Academia. I've been working in this industry for a long time, and when I say this industry, I mean anime, animation, and gaming. And my colleagues know me. I live out here in Dallas Fort Worth, and my people that I work with in this area are very familiar with me commercially, on camera, theater, but I didn't really have much of any kind of like notoriety, I guess. I mean, I was doing some television, but when My Hero is such a wildly popular franchise, the second I got cast as Mirio, like I don't know if like there's a star meter on IMDb, and it tracks like over the years, and it just skyrocketed. And I had worked on a couple shows like Taiju and Dr. Stone, like you said, is a very popular show, and Black Clover as a Nozel. I call him Nozzle as well. But Nozel, like Silva, is another like popular character. And you can see little gouts of sort of like popularity, but My Hero, man, that I feel like people who don't even watch My Hero know me from it. Like, oh yeah, you got the guy, the naked guy, right? Yeah, I know that. And I'm like,
hey,
wow.
There's worse things to be known as, Ricco, than the naked guy.
It's true. You're totally right. But yeah, man, it's a that when you phrase the question like that, I imagine it's hard not to say Mirio because of this role. I've got so many doors have opened in regards to like traveling around, meeting so many fans, having such amazing conversations and other opportunities. So yeah, it's kind of wild how one little role can mean so much.
Well, I mean, I love your performance as Mirio, and look forward to
Thanks, man.
we're not going to spoil what's coming. This really big story arc's coming up in My Hero Academia. But when
you read the manga, right?
Yes, I read the manga.
Okay. I mean, I know, I figured you did, but I was like, okay, cool.
No, I specifically subscribe to the Shonen Jump app, so that way I can always go back and like reread it as I prepare for the new episodes and seasons, stuff like that.
Love it. You get to see how they animate it versus like the panels, bro.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you with Mirio, I really connected with him as a character, because like when you first see him and he takes out all of 1A in a
teach
fight,
them a lesson.
Exactly, to teach them a lesson, and he does it with his shirt off, and luckily keeps his pants on for most of the fight, except for he scars Jiro.
It's always her for some reason. Just
no, poor girl. But when Tamajiki, gosh, I can never say their names right.
Tamaki
Amajiki explains like, no, Mirio's quirk is really difficult to use, but it just looks like he's so overpowered and invincible, where it's the fact that it's actually all this hard work. I really connected with that. As a pastor, everyone thinks I have an easy life because all I have to do is work 1 hour a week, and Sunday mornings. Like, you do realize that I'm working 24/7, because 3 o'clock in the morning, someone calls me. It was like, my grandma died, my mother died, something like that. I mean, I'm grabbing a cup of coffee, putting my pants on, and heading out the door. I mean, so, I really connected with Mirio in that. So I just really enjoyed that character in that way. And that's why he's become my favorite character in My Hero Academia, along with Froppy.
I love Froppy. Sue's great.
Sue. She's great.
It's that preparation, man. Like what you just said inspired me. It makes me think about how you know, you don't really know kind of the and history of most people that you meet, right? But like underneath it, when Amajiki says you don't understand how hard, if all you see is like an invincible dude, you're not seeing all the work that went into that. You know what I mean?
And
It's like rings on a tree.
yeah, and so that's one of the things that I really like about My Hero Academia as a show, and that the people that take their quirk very seriously become very powerful. It's not necessarily about how naturally powerful something is, it's the work that they put into it. Now, granted, you know, you take somebody like Todoroki, who is sorry, Rico is actually my favorite character, although
You gotta
uh
apologize. He's pretty cool.
yeah,
And
although
hot.
Pretty cool.
I will say my second favorite is Amajiki.
Oh yeah.
So
Hey, your taste is
actually
improving.
yeah, so,
I'm just
so
kidding.
what actually made me fall in love with his character was the episode that where he's in his full-on Sun Eater mode, and he takes out those the bad guys that are with Overhaul, and explains his relationship with Mirio. And I really connected with Amajiki in that, where Amajiki's really concerned about, because he has all this potential, but he's so nervous about failing that it causes him to have anxiety. And that's something that I feel like I really connect with, because that's something that I was always told growing up. It's like, oh, you've got all this potential, you're so smart, you relate well with people, and it's just like, oh my gosh, am I failing because you know, it's like I'm not this big CEO or whatever.
Right.
It's like, and so it's like I connect with that, and so so it's for me, it's really great to see that. And then so for me, one of the things that I really want to know is like, how do you the voice actor that voices Amajiki is the lead actor for Dr. Stone.
Mhm.
How do you guys work together? Because you guys are a pair almost, like, so do you guys have something worked out where you guys always have to work together or something?
I think so. That's my good buddy Aaron Dismuke. He plays. Let's see. We first worked together. He cast me in a show called Nambaka, where I played like this crazy, like James Brown sounding, wow, and a funky kind of dude, which was really cool. And we both bonded over video games. After that, I was like, dude, you're a pretty cool guy. Like, we should hang out. And then at one point, I was like moving, and you know how actors do. We're all like kind of just like transient folks moving around. I was like, dude, and he had just his lease had finished, so we ended up being roommates for a while.
Okay.
And he also plays games. He's again board gamer, like video gamer. Shared kind of like humor and like philosophical look on the world. Like our banter, I always feel like mentally engaged when I'm talking with Aaron.
Mhm.
And it's a very easy, I feel, friendship, which is when we first got cast together. I think it was he was cast as Arslan in the Heroic Tales of Arslan, a young prince who is like trying to regain his throne, and I played Daryun, the Black Knight, and I was his guardian. And so everyone dies, spoilers, except for me and him, and I'm trying to help restore him to his power, but he's again a very unwilling kind of like young youth. He's trying to learn about the world. You know, he's easily deceived, but like Daryun lets him make these mistakes, but make sure he doesn't trip and fall fully.
Mhm.
And from that already, I felt like there was a dynamic where Aaron is quick to use, you know, like his mind, you know, to see past things, to navigate things, and I'm very quick to use my body to get into things. And so it just went from there, man. We're like, I think directors, that was Chris Bevins who first cast us like that. Man, we worked together a ton after that. And yeah, and Dr. Stone, my buddy Cliff Chapin, he plays Bakugo, cast, you know, Aaron as Senku, and me as Taiju, his best buddy, who's all heart, and you know, like he just loves his friend Senku. And believes everything, like full like without, there's not a doubt that he does not have faith in his friends. Similarly, Mirio has all the faith in the world for Tamaki, and Tamaki who doubts himself so thoroughly. I love Mirio at one point says they're like in their teens, and Mirio's still kind of like trying to figure out how his quirk is going to be worth anything. And Amajiki is like, they're just both so nervous. And he goes, man, you are like way better than me. And you're gonna like, if you say I shine brighter than the sun, like you eclipse that. So you're the sun eater is what you are like.
Mhm.
And that's like Mirio, I don't think that that's just him saying it. I really do. Mirio is a champion. He likes to lift people up. I think
Yeah.
that's just his perspective. But truly, I do think, like, if we're talking anime and like power scaling, I do think that Tamaki is like super strong, and he just needs to
Oh
kind
yeah.
of like actualize it, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Sorry,
I'm looking
I went off
forward
on
I
a big
put
old
it.
nerd.
to- No, that's
No,
fine.
no,
Listen,
no.
this is what we're here for.
Okay, cool,
No,
cool, cool, cool.
we love talking this nerdy stuff. We have these debates and stuff like that. And like to me, when you think about, for me, like for My Hero Academia, and we've discussed this, Patrick and I have discussed this on our podcast, that, and I think we're kind of in agreement on this. When you talk about just in terms of raw power, if you remove One for All from the perspective, because it's kind of like a cheat code. It's not fair.
A little bit, a little bit. Also,
In terms of raw power, I don't know if it really there's anybody more powerful than Todoroki, just because, like, especially the scale that you see that he does even at such a young age, like, freezing half of the stadium. And so yeah, and for me, I would put Tamaki in that arena as well. It's just like in terms of pure power, it's hard
yeah,
to beat those guys.
I feel like in regards to when you look at quirks, right, in this world where
Mhm.
quirks kind of define your power, and I'd love to take that back to Mirio at some point, because I know earlier you'd mentioned, it's like the value, our self-worth, our value in this world is determined by what you do with it. So Mirio's quirk wasn't very necessarily effective or helpful. In fact, I play Mirio's dad in the show. You're like, Mirio, if you use this power, you might get hurt like your dad. You might get killed. Are you sure you want to do this? And Mirio's like, yeah, you bet. I want to be a hero. And it's very sweet. But also, like, I think, yes, hard work is important. But even beyond that, for Mirio specifically, you get to see what it's like when he doesn't have a quirk. This most OP thing where you're like, what a shame that I've lost this agency in the world. But he proceeds to just do amazing things in that overhaul fight, which, like, I think that is the real heart of like what
Oh, yeah.
what Mirio's character presents, is that it isn't about, yeah, you can cultivate your abilities, that's fine, it's cool to feel powerful, it's cool to have agency in this world, but it's truly what is your focus. Mirio's like, I am, when he says definitively to Eri, I am going to be your hero, like he knows what that is,
Yeah.
and just no quirk, no problem kind of deal.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
to take it back, yeah, please.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite episodes in the entire series, is Mirio's fight with Overhaul. I've no shame in admitting that there's a few times throughout the series that I get choked up and I kind of get emotional and start to shed some tears. And your performance in that episode, bravo, sir.
Thanks,
Just
man.
absolutely phenomenal, and just like really. And so even what doesn't help is that the next couple episodes, Justin Briner really brings it as Midoriya, and building off of you. And so, and I think that's really
Brandon McKinnis, who plays Sir Night Eye, like,
yeah, you just see and I think it's kind of appropriate that Deku builds off of Lemillion, because that's how One for All works as a quirk. So it's like, okay, here's somebody that perfected, I don't care, I'm going to be a hero in the form of Lemillion, and now One for All is here, and now we're going to really take it to the next level. And so and I don't even know if that was the intention of it all or not, but it's just like I see these things, and I put these dots together, and it's just really absolutely killed it.
I appreciate it, man. There's so many things we were talking a bit earlier, again, off of, sorry you guys missed the pre discussion, but we were talking about jobs and things, and I was doing a call or a class for acting, on camera acting, and just to be nutshelly on this story, there was a little girl who was drowning, a little 3-year-old. And I thought, because I'm in Texas, I was like, oh, is it because we heard call 911, like an active shooter, let's close the door. Like, I'm like, oh no, it sucks that that's the impulse. But it turned out it was a little girl at this pool who was drowning. And they had said, and this is right before I recorded the episode with Ari and that fight, by the way. So I was already ready to perform. I'd read ahead. I'm a theater actor. So I was like, man, I can't wait to perform this. But I had, there's so much of this that's weird and serendipitous. I feel I was on my way to a Cyanide and Happiness party where Chris Sabat, who plays All Might, was going to be there, and we're all hanging out to celebrate the new season premiere where I play I play God in in a musical episode. But that's beside the point. I go and I end up giving CPR to this little 3-year-old girl. I'm doing mouth to mouth. My buddy's doing chest compressions. Right before that, they were like, "Does anyone know CPR?" And I raised my hand, and like 40 people look at me all at once. And I don't know why, but I went, "It's expired though."
Gosh.
And you guys, it reminded me of when Mirio and Deku see Eri in the alleyway. And like, he's like, "No, this isn't the right time. Like, this isn't the time to do this." And Deku's like, "We should act now. Like, when is the right time to act? Are you the right person to act?" You know, like, this is something that I think, you know, tortures a lot of us sometimes. Like, when we look back at things in life, like, should I have done this? Should I have done that? And literally it tears Midoriya and Mirio up, because Midoriya is like, "Oh crap, did we tip our hat? Did we do something that might have endangered her?" And Mirio's like, should we have engaged right there and then? And I thought about it because fortunately the mother, I remember she cried. I can't get her voice out of my mind, but she's like, "Somebody do something." And she just cried it. And like, everyone's just standing by for, you know, the people at the hotel are like, you know, insurance purposes, we literally can't do anything. We got to wait for the paramedics, EMT. The father is just like haphazardly trying to shake his daughter. And, you know, that's why they get the family away so you can focus on the resuscitation. So man, but when that mom said that, like screamed it, I was like, well, hey, I guess it's us. So, you know, I'm like, we're now that I realize that there's no one who is like maybe the most fit, I'm like, I guess it falls to us. So my buddy Ace does chest compressions. You know, he's literally next to me going like, "Staying alive." He's actually doing it. "You can tell by the way how you I'm doing the breath. Man, and I could have sworn, you guys, that I was breathing into a dead girl. Like, she looked like the girl from the top of Game of Thrones, all blue, cold. Like, I thought this was it. But I thought to myself, at least I'm doing my best, you know, for the parents, that, you know, we are doing our best for each other, and we're all here together. But man, you guys, when I saw her mouth go, it like opened a little bit. That's the only movement I saw. I went, she's moving. I got like all the adrenaline came rushing through me. I'm like, let's go. And I'm talking to her. I'm breathing, you know, I'm like, all right, you know, all right, honey, you're going to breathe in 3, 2, 1, breathing into her. You could see her lips start to gain color back slowly. Her eyes start to move, like moving through molasses, you know, molasses slow, just kind of opening her eyes. Everyone's starting to, like, you know, the chance that she's alive returns back to us. And I am fired up, dude. I feel like I could fight, you know, I got all the adrenaline in me. And we brought her back, man. And then I go to the Cyanide and Happiness thing, and Sabat's there. You know, he's like, "Ricco, we're even running late." And I was like, "I was saving a little girl's life." He's like, classic Ricco. And I was like, "No, I'm being real." I went to the bar and I'm sipping on this whiskey, and you guys, I felt like bad. I felt heavy. I felt like, man, it was such a strange feeling, because you think I should be celebrating, but I was I was sitting there just thinking to myself, this happens every day, man. This happens every day, where people like shy away from helping each other. They shy away from, like, and again, granted, no, like, you know, not being a fly, I'm not like, you know, whipping anyway. It's just like, we have the ability to give each other breath, which already is just bonkers. Like, I would just like, you could literally move my heart. You could just move my heart through my chest and bring me back from the brink. I think I learned in that moment, I'm like, we are so much more alike than we are different in so many ways. And then, so the next day, that was on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I go in to record with Colleen, and we're doing the overhaul episode. She has a little kiddo. And I remember telling her, I was like, hey, guess what I did on Saturday? I'm like ready to do I am going to be your hero. And all Colleen said after I told her I did that, she's like, of course you did. Let's get to work. And I'm like, man, art imitates life in some weird way, in that way. Yeah, y'all. I feel like with that performance specifically for Mirio, it's like everything I want to be. I aspire to be that dedicated, disciplined, and like just so committed to like my own sense of self and purpose. Again, I'm very, you could probably already tell I'm just gushing about it, but I really do. The character brings out a lot. And the fans that I meet at conventions will roll up and talk to me. And the people that like Mirio are like, oh, he's so positive. I was like, yeah, but like he endures so much.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So much.
Yeah. And and it's kind of like it, and I know there's a lot of fan theories out there that that's some of the fun of the show is like the fan theories and just being kind of like in the speculation. And so it's like there's and I love that like Deku makes makes the connection that's like, oh, you were probably going to be All Might's choice for his successor, and like just the aura that Mirio puts off, that's just like it's like this quirk is should be yours. And so it's just so like Deku and Lemillion being like, hopefully we get to see them in their prime as like adult heroes.
That'd be cool.
They kind of do like a Naruto thing where they go from
time
Naruto
skip
to Naruto to Shippuden as the sequel series.
I want to see Mineta time skip. I want to see a very put together, respectful of women Mineta. He's like, listen, he's got like a 3-piece suit that's purple, and he's like, no.
A purple and a Sir Night-Eye suit, so that way, that'd be great. That he's either going to be like that or he's going to be like super jacked, like he's going to be All Might without having to use One for All to inflate his body.
Well, knowing Mineta, he would just cover himself in those giant sticky balls to make him look like the size of All Might. He's like, oh, I'm jacked. And then his ball, all the balls.
I want it. He's gonna have like slick hair, but then when he gets excited, they go brink, and he gets like a throw balls. Which, by the way, you bring up a great point when Midoriya offers Mirio.
Yeah.
He goes, if I could give you my quirk, would you take it? Like, would you? And he's like, no. In the manga, he says, no, thanks. It's a full panel where he's like, nope. And he goes, why would you turn down this power? Like, you're literally the guy, his catchphrase is power. He's like, nah, dude, like you are on a path to be a hero. You're my buddy. Why would I take away? Like, that's the opposite of what we were trying to do. You know what I mean? You're like, you're on your journey and I want you to succeed. So like, I wouldn't do that. And besides, like, I'll find a way. I'll work through my stuff. And I'm like, oh, my heart, man. Like that right there is like,
and I remember,
I won't say it's selfless, but like it's just a clear knowledge of self,
Well, and one of the things I love too is that even at the end, Night-Eye is wanting to give one last piece of love and advice and wisdom to Mirio, who is his prize
protege,
and says like, you will be a hero and a great one, I love it. His quirk is activated, and
the foresight,
and so he knows, and so with doing that, he's able to give Lemillion that hope. And as a pastor and as a teacher and things like that, that's one of those things that I've done so many funerals as a pastor, and one of the most important things that I always try to instill in those services is not to make people sad, but to remember, it's like, this is the legacy of this person that we've come to celebrate is in you guys. You're going to tell jokes and be like, oh my gosh, that was Dad's favorite joke, or you'll see us smile and be like, that's the way my grandma smiled, things like that. And so I always find that that connection and performances and the media that we consume to inspire us and be like, that's in everyday life too, and
Want to hear something beautiful about that? Because Sir Night Eye's quirk is foresight, and he used it on All Might. I'm going for you guys. If you haven't watched the show, you should have understood. So, like, he uses the quirk. He uses foresight on All Might and foresees All Might dying horribly.
Mhm.
And so Sir Night Eye is thinking to himself, I need to save my not only my friend, like my closest friend, my best friend. So I'm gonna start, literally, that's like why he started training Mirio in this way. And he's like, I'm never going, after that, he's like, I'm never gonna look fully into someone's future. Because if I do that, which is a great metaphor, if you have your mind made up about how life is going to be, you're kind of setting yourself up for, disappointment.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
you're like, it's going to be like this,
Yeah.
and yet before he passes, Night Eye says, one last time, I'm going to use it on Mirio because I care for this kid so much. And after he does that, he says, yeah, you're going to be the finest hero there is. Mirio, and so Midori, everyone's sad. Midoriya goes to visit Mirio. He's like, I bet he's gonna be so sad. And he's there doing abs. He's there doing an ab workout. And he goes, What are you doing? He's like, well, I can't slack, right? Because Sir said I'm gonna be the finest hero, so I gotta keep working. And my heart, man, I'm thinking to myself, dude, when he has Eri on his shoulder and he looks up at the sky and he says, Sir, do you see? She's smiling. He has from there on in a constant conference with Sir Night Eye. Because Sir Night Eye looked at his whole life, meaning Mirio's whole life. All he has to do is look up and he can talk to Sir. Do you know what I mean? Like, granted, he's gone, but because he used his quirk and he's like, I'm there with you the whole time. Like, it's anything he does, Sir Night Eye will see.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh my goodness. That is like that's the angel on your shoulder, metaphor, man. It's incredible. It's incredible.
That's actually something that I hadn't considered, and when we haven't got to those show yet in our podcast, so it will definitely.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Listen, it's fine. Anyone who listens to our show should have already seen these episodes.
just like you said, Ricco. So
sorry.
It's okay.
No worries. It's so this will definitely be something that we'll have to address again when we get to those, because I hadn't considered, I didn't even think of that, or so it's it helps bring builds a whole new perspective. And one of the things that I do like, and I've met a few of your colleagues in the show, and so it helps to see, and it very much comes through when we're talking with you, that you are genuinely a fan of the show as well. So do you read the manga?
Oh,
and do you watch the Japanese version to draw any inspiration for your performance?
Yeah. Okay. So just first off, when we do the dubbing, it is dubbing. So we usually have the Japanese there 99.9% of the time. It's pretty rare when it's just in isolation and we don't have any kind of reference. But always, I mean, I always liken it to, I worked a lot, on Shakespeare, did graduate school out here in Texas, and did a lot of Shakespeare. And just because someone, did Romeo a certain way or Hamlet doesn't mean you're going to do it that same exact way. But man, it really is cool to see, Olivier do, you know what I mean? Like, you draw inspiration, I think, in any way. But at the end of the day, yeah, it is going to be your take on it. I usually personally listen to, I say it's how the Seiyu, the Japanese voice actor, sings it, like how they sing the text is the way I say it, like tonally where they're at. Both the Seiyu for Mirio and myself, he'll try to keep it like light and airy, and there's this sense of like a bouncy light to his voice. So these adjectives I'll attach to kind of like help keep me in the pocket that we're both creating this character together, and we're lifting it up. But yeah, dude, I definitely read all the manga. Again, I went to theater school, so like I literally read it the second it drops. Like on Twitter, someone will go like hashtag MHA whatever, and I'm like, what happened? What happened? But yeah, I'm stoked.
Yeah. I get on the Shonen Jump app, it'll tell you, it's like, all right, the next chapter is dropping in like 10 hours. I'm like,
yes,
I almost set like a reminder on my phone, be like, all right, okay. I cut my not the worst part. The funny part is that My Hero drops on Sundays.
Yes.
So I'm kind of like looking at it, like, all right, should I cut my sermon? Like, as a pastor, I preach every Sunday. Like, should I cut my sermon a little short? Because I need to know what's going to happen in My Hero. I promise, for my church members, I don't do that. I promise. promise. It's just
the second
slightly
it
in the back
drops,
of my
like, all
mind.
right, guys, let's pray. phone just anyway.
I love that. That's a great cover. I appreciate
Thank
that. I'm just glad you didn't do the other side of Mirio that likes
yeah,
to
yeah,
just pop
yeah.
out
I'm
every now
like,
and again.
I know. I can show you something real fast. This is kind of funny. Here, hang on. I got a bunch of random merch over here. But when I first got the role, I don't know if you guys are familiar with do you guys know the Fallout franchise? There's
I've heard of the game. I've never played it.
it's like post-apocalyptic. Everything's kind of like, you know, people trying to survive this crazy nuked out world. But like there's a bobblehead, which like there are different stats that they embody. One of the bobbleheads is strength, so it's a strong guy in like, you know, kind of tiny underoos. Someone made this for me. It's Mirio, but it's blanked out. So they took the Mirio head and they put it on the strength bobblehead. You see?
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude. Anyway, I just love my artist friends. They're so creative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those that's pretty phenomenal. You might need to try and get with your buddy and seeing if you can't work with Funko to make that a real
they'll
thing.
never do it. They'll never do it. I know. But you know, I've hold hope because that would be hilarious.
I mean, if nothing else, you can do at least the version of Miro that's struggling with his pants.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and his butt's kind of hanging out. He's like, oh, sorry guys.
Funko could do that.
God,
or you can say, like,
It
I
is-
almost showed my Johnson Mirio. You can be that one.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry if he saw my Willie. Yeah, that's the one, dude. I love that he calls it Willie. That was a Colleen thing too, because she just, I think at the point her kiddo is still like, you know, itty bitty, and it's a little boy, and so you know, like Willie is the word.
Yeah.
Did you employ? Anyway, cracks me up, man.
Oh, so I was like, so is that what you teach your kid to call it? So it's just like,
Like, sorry if you saw me. Man, he's such a good character, dude. I think, and there's something about that too, even metaphor of like him falling, like permeation when he uses it. He's like, I fall into the ground. I can't hear, I can't breathe, I can't see. I feel like I could fall forever. Like that, I was like, that's like I wrote a paper on this. I'm like, that's a metaphor for depression if I've ever heard it. Like,
yeah.
you know, how do you, and it's usually the brightest, happy, most optimistic people that have this side that they struggle with, right? But in Horikoshi's version of the story, or you know, for this character, it's his quirk. It's like this is something that makes him special, which you would think, I don't want that. That's really bad.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, I mean, what he tells Class 1A is like, you know, once I figured out, it's all about how you come out of it, how you come out of the quirk, and I'm able to master that specifically. People now think I'm invincible because I have this sense of self. I know what I'm about, so I can fall, but I know how to rebound out of it. And that I was like, man, it's such a, I love underdog stories, but I feel like it's more of like a story of resilience. But like also, guys, I mean, he has crazy community. He's got like Amajiki's a really good friend. He's like having a best friend who's like, no, dude, I believe in you. Like ride or die, I'm with you.
Right.
His dad, who literally says, are you sure you want to go down this path? I'll help you however I can. Having a supportive parent. And then Sir Night Eye, who any of us who have a mentor in our life that's like, I not only think you're going to do great things, I know you are. Like literally, I looked into your future. You're going to be amazing. Like that. It's very much like what Mr. Matthews told me when he was telling me, you know, like, I know you can do this. I was like, you do? Because I don't know nothing. You know what I mean? So anyway, I find it so inspiring, yo.
So I will say this, one of the things that throws me off just a little bit when you're talking about your acting teacher and you're calling him Mr. Matthews. I'm a huge Boy Meets World fan, and so like I don't know, my brain instantly goes to Mr. Feeney calling Corey Mr. Matthews.
Yes, Mr. Matthews. I did a convention with him, with Mr. Feeney.
Oh,
it was so sweet when he walked by. I was like, Boy Meets World.
I was at MegaCon a couple of years ago, and I was actually in line to meet Zachary Levi. But
I was next to that dude the whole freaking show. He's playing 90s jock jams and stuff.
Oh yeah,
he's hilarious.
Yeah, he's a good time, and a great person to talk to as well. In case anybody hasn't had a chance to meet Zachary Levi, I highly recommend it. It's worth it.
Agreed.
But while I was waiting in line, the tunnel or aisleway, I guess, that some of the other celebrities that were going to their booths at that time, the four main cast members of Boy Meets World walked by, of Corey, Topanga, Eric, and Sean all walked by. And so one of the things that I have learned in my time of interacting with different celebrities is that they don't always like a whole lot of attention. But I tell you, I had to restrain everything I could when they were walking so close to me that I just didn't yell because I just and I have Patrick and I actually have taken the time to meet Will Friedle. I think that's how you say his last name. My apologies if that's not how you say
I think
his
it's
last name.
Friedel, but yeah.
Friedel.
I think so.
But he's actually a really nice guy as well. So yeah, so it's amazing. It's always nice to when you meet celebrities, or but although you guys might not even view yourselves as celebrities, that you guys are down to earth and grounded and that sort of stuff. And so just taking the time to meet fans is. Um, so is that what you would say? What would you say your most like your favorite thing about going to conventions is besides free travel?
And what's the weirdest thing you've signed?
Oh, you can't ask me that. I've signed some weird stuff. But I will I will say that I really enjoy, and I was talking to you guys about this, but if we ever get to hang out at a convention, it'll more than likely, be tasty food of the Cuban or whatever variety, wherever it happen to be. The local fare plus either games. Well, board games. That's my happy place, or escape rooms. Like I like playing games with friends. Like I feel like I learned so much about
permeate
people.
through stuff that's cheating.
I mean, like if I could, that'd be amazing. But I wouldn't do it because I want to play as a team. Like you get better with the challenge. But that said, I feel like the most rewarding thing simultaneously, and like something I enjoy, and I know it kind of people who've met me know I'm a chatty Cathy. If we start talking about this show, I will go on. Like we'll just start talking and they'll bring up like some fan theory and I'm like, oh really? I'm like, but what about this? And whether they're tiny, itty bitty, or like, whatever, twice my age, like I will have this conversation because I mean, I did go to art school, so I want to know what people think, but and some people have some really amazing ideas, but other folks just want to share that energy, which I'm happy to. So it's very, I don't know, it feels very reciprocal. Especially even if like, yeah, they're like, Mirio's not my favorite. But like I like Bakugo. I'm like, so wait, you like Sweaty Boy? His quirk is sweat. It's sweat. That's all you care? Like you like nitroglycerin sweat? That's weird, man. That's why he's angry all the time, because he's like Wolverine. He's trying to get, it hurts every time. He's trying to get
he's always on the verge of blowing up too.
He needs to. He needs to keep that sweat going, because if he's calm and cool, he's got no power. So it's like that's the funny thing is like I love talking with people about that, because I don't know, it's just great to talk shop about something that we all enjoy. You know what I mean? And even though I'm not necessarily some of these characters that people really, really like, if it's Froppy or something, I'm like, I love Monica. I've worked with her a ton. She's amazing. And I'm also a fan of Froppy and Sue. But and so I can talk intelligently about it. I think maybe that's the charming thing, is that I learn a lot about from the show from other folks, while also getting to like drop any one of the number of things we've talked about on them. You know what I mean? And they're like, wait, what? Mind blown.
I'm probably going to go back and watch your overhaul arc now and think and put your Night Eye theory into play. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's right.
Oh, dude. Yeah, there's a lot. I could go on and on. I mean, like when I said for the big three, Amajiki, I always thought represents kind of like the social anxiety of like, the other one is Nejire Hado, her ADD. I'm like, hey, what's that? Hey,
no filter.
Right. Yeah. But like we should recognize ourselves in one of these characters, and the folks that come up to, and I've said this to people, like, I'm a big fan of Mirio and how he's able to like come out. I'm like, dude, you realize I tell that, permeation is depression kind of thing. And folks are like, dude, like I've had some really beautiful conversations with fans about how it's like, it is a choice to of how you want to groom your perspective. And so when you have albeit an animated character going through these things, it's like, man, you can weather some amazing things, and like life can really be throwing you a bevy of curveballs. But if you know yourself, know what you're about, you have a support system. I mean, like, man, you will surprise yourself at how far you can go, and how strong you are, yeah. Anyway, I'm leery to like cite specific examples, because some of these fans, like I've had people come up literally and say like, your character saved my life, and I'm like, by no stretch of the imagination.
Wow.
Where when you hear that as an actor, I'm like, oh, my goodness,
Yeah.
I was in a booth doing this thing and it touched you in that way.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I have to know how. Like how. And it's like, well, a dark place, and I saw this guy who doesn't quit, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And then so now I want to talk more about it. I'm like, well, how do you? My hero is all about, passing things forward. All Might gives the hair to Midoriya. Midoriya goes forward with this power. Mirio sacrifices for Eri. Eri sees it, finds self-value to then take Midoriya's hand. Like the things you do and say matter in this world, and the things just kind of, they spread out from there. Is, I think, a constant theme in my heroes. Like the energy is constantly going out, to others, and we are connected to each other, whether you believe it or not. We are.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
So, that to me is when I think about these fans and how some of them have been affected in this way, I'm like, dude, tell your story. Like, how did this affect you? You know what I mean? Like, because I'm just doing this thing in a booth, and I have this emotional experience, and I get to tell this story, but it like affected you in that way, dude. I'm like, you need to like share that, because that's amazing. Like,
yeah,
I love that. And so, yeah, that's, I think, why I'm very hungry when I get to meet fans. I'm like, what are you watching? What are you doing? Tell me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I watched the music video for the My Hero song that Jiro sings during the festival.
Hero
and
2, yeah.
And when the purple smoke comes off of Eri in the middle of the concert, I'm weeping. Like the first time I wept when I read it, because the episode hadn't come out yet, and I was like,
beautiful, man. Beautiful.
I've got 4 kids, and just thinking of that kind of negative hold that something might have on one of my children, or children that that I've pastored and things like that. Just thinking that, and just seeing that blow away, and I'm just like, oh gosh.
I know.
And it's so great.
Man.
And so that was one thing that I'm like, I wish they had held on to the purple smoke on her in that scene a little bit longer, like in the art direction, because it goes away too quickly. Because if you if you don't remember it from like when Mirio and Midoriya go and see her in the hospital again afterwards, like if you don't remember that, then you don't know what's this purple smoke from. But reading in the manga, it's it's easy to see there.
You kind of see like the overhaul face above her like that, and it sort of shudders, and then it breaks free. But
it just goes too fast.
I love I know, but like, I don't know, maybe there's something really sweet about that, where it's she's like finally cast off in a very kind of like cloak way. She's like, I do not want this on me anymore. Which is like kind of empowering if you think about it. Like, wait, really? I could just do that.
And the fact, and the great thing about it too is that she's so young too, to be able to have that power. Like that's the real power there to have. Is it's like, I'm so young and I've got this down. It's just like, you have no control over me.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And so just it would be wonderful. That's like, I know, like Patrick and I are 36, about to be 37 in a couple of days, and it's just like, there's still things that's like, man, I wish I had the strength of Eri to be like, nope, I'm not going to allow this to have any control over me.
It's your birthday in a couple days.
Wednesday.
Yes.
Happy preemptive birthday. Happy. Right on, man.
Thank you. So this is your birthday present to us. We appreciate this.
Okay. I'm glad. I was like, oh, good. I got you something.
It's this.
That's so cool, man.
We've already kind of touched on this, and you've touched on this a little bit in different for your answers, but do you just want to put this question out there? So what lesson have you learned from your characters that you've portrayed? And you have portrayed quite a few and some very notable characters. What have you learned from them, or how have they affected you to where it's changed how you view the world, or has affected you or made you be like, man, I wish I could be more like Mirio like this. I
Oh
wish I
man,
could be more like Taiju. Like, what about Taiju do you wish you could be more like Taiju?
it's my favorite thing about acting, man, is being able to toss myself fully into the perspective of another character, another like worldview. I've helped think it really, yes, it does help me learn more about myself. I like to believe that, and Colleen, many people have said like, oh yeah, it's like Rico's just like he's Mirio essentially. I was like, whoa, that's a big compliment. I'm like, better watch your words because that's a big one, man. I'm like, I appreciate that. Um, but man, that's like I see this character as something. He just has it. He just has the makeup to where he is like, I want to say like a natural born hero, but all of the things have come into place where it feels like this is his, like, I'm not like a fatalist, but like that's his calling, man. Like that is where he belongs, kind of, you know what I mean? Where that's where it's headed. Uh so I guess if I had to like glean some things that different characters have taught me, oh, they've all taught me something. A big one for Mirio is that it's sometimes you fall so well, you get so good at falling it looks like flying, because literally that's what he's doing, is all the time he's just failing. It's like, but every single failure is one step closer to success, and you become untouchable. Which is like, what a liberating feeling, to be able to be like, I am impervious to anything because I've mastered myself. um that is like a big takeaway from Mirio. For Taiju, just the opening, like there's a beautiful monologue where he's talking to Yuzuriha, and this isn't a spoiler because it's literally like ep 1 or 2, but it's he goes, he has stayed sane because he's wanted to confess his love to this girl, and then he says it to this statue. He says, I've loved you for hundreds, thousands of years. And it's like the power of love, and in his faith in his friend. I love when he went, Seku's like, this is my my friend Taiju, the simple one. I'm like, hi, I'm Taiju, the simple one. He echoes his friend with such like a devotion, what I mean? Like and it's like without ego. And on top of that, he's such a pacifist. Like, I don't know if you watch most of Dr. Stone, he doesn't like, he's like, no, we don't have to hurt each other. We don't. Like, literally, that's a choice. You're doing that because you're weak. It's like
one of the things that I like about Taiju is that we don't know this because you never see Taiju throw a punch, but he can take a punch. So they're, like in fighting, like I'm not an expert in the least for it, but I do know a little bit about like mixed martial arts and boxing. It's like, generally speaking, if you can take a punch, you generally means you can throw a punch.
He throws that boulder, man.
Yeah. And so, and the fact that he even offered to the character's name escapes me, but the ape,
primal, that is Sukasa.
Tsukasa. He offers to him, it's like, hey, if you need to take your violent tendencies out on me, I'll do it. And so there's just something like really, it's amazing that you're continually casting these characters that are self-sacrificial and willing to go the extra mile for people that even, and especially in that instance, like, you don't really know him. He's not Senku, your childhood friend. But it's just like, hey, if I'm, you've got these urges, like, I can take it. And so I would actually really love to see Taiju take it to him and just kind of really,
man.
But I know his
character.
It's and it's funny, Taiju Oki, his name in Japanese is like, I believe it's tree, for the symbol for tree. So he is that rooted, strong, resilient. He'll grow back. You know what I mean? Like he's there, man. He ain't going anywhere. Which I think is it is funny when he does take a full on blow from Tsukasa. Like, wow, he just stood there and took it, and then he's like, but he was KO'd. He's like, oh, he took it, and he's
knocked
like,
out standing up.
Which I was like, that's how strong he is. He's like, I'm gonna be resilient. But he is like at his heart a pacifist. So it's like I find for Taiju the lesson I would learn from him is the, man, love can really carry you carry you farther than anything. Like, you know, thousands of years, like love can endure, and it manifests in different ways. Obviously, like in Dr. Stone, and being encased in stone for several thousand years has got to be kind of wild. But like, you know, using my imagination, when I worked on that with Cliff, again, who plays Bakugo in My Hero, we talked about that very sweet scene, and it's like, man, you've been waiting for this thing to happen. And like, and for all of us, whether it's like through school or working toward to get a degree, or you know, a job, you know, a promotion, or any kind of thing that there's like time accumulating to like to try to get to this point where finally I have the courage to say this. It has to feel like good, right? And that's why I think with Dr. Stone, there's such a and what I learned about Taiju in that moment is, it's like he's like, finally I get to say this to you, and I've been waiting, and you've kept me alive. The thought of you has kept me alive. That I'm like, oh, my heart, dude, it's so good. Literally,
to have that kind of love, that's just, I think that's what we all strive for,
dude.
You know,
Tell me about it.
You've kept me alive for thousands of years. Like, oh my gosh, you want to talk about? It's like, all right, I'm gonna write that down for the next girl I like.
So good, man. But yeah, I mean, like, there's quite a few characters. Nozel from Black Clover. He's a bit of a jerk, as it would seem when you first meet him in Black Clover. He's the older brother. I'm actually the youngest sibling in my family, other than my half sister, who's a bit younger. But like, being the younger kiddo in the family, it's the perspective is, oh, your older siblings are always so mean, or so like, you know, huffy puffy about things. But without spoiling too much about Black Clover, you know, you learn that what I've learned from Nozel is like, you sometimes will hurt people. You hurt people, the ones you care about the most, you'll hurt sometimes, even when your intentions are good. So it's like, I guess the lesson I learned from that, I mean, I'm not like Nozel in that way. I'm pretty quick to communicate to my friends and family, but to quietly suffer is something that I've seen in the people I care about, where it's like, I'm doing this for you. I'm like, but like, there is a moment where when you're able to actually communicate and let it be known and tell these people, like, it's such a better path. But of course, you know, magic in Black Clover, there's things that literally, you know, I think, can I do a little bit of a spoiler?
Oh,
that's fine.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
okay,
we haven't covered Black Clover in our podcast.
Okay, there is something that does not allow Nozel to tell Noelle, his younger sister, about their mother. So Noelle thinks, you know, this is something that he must hate me because he's not telling me. But literally, it will kill them if he says anything. It's like a curse. So I'm not sure what the metaphor for that is. Maybe it's like, you know, in some kind of family situation or relationship situation, I'm saying this to keep you safe. I'm not telling you to keep you safe. But then it's becomes seedlings for like doubt and mistrust, because you're like, do you actually care about me? Or are you? But so yeah, of course the conceit is that it's magic and it's a curse. But anyway, yeah.
Maybe just learn not to do.
Right. Yeah, that is a lesson to learn, to be, you know, try to be communicative and be open. But also, yeah, you do sometimes say things to the ones you love that are pretty you would never say to like your worst enemy. You just let something slip. You're like, oops, that came out really hot and fast.
Should not have had that second whiskey.
No, it's just because I'm so comfortable with you. Yeah.
So we're going to wrap up here a little bit. But we do want to give you an opportunity to talk about any upcoming projects that you might have. So where will we be seeing you, or in case and also in your case as a voice actor, where will we be hearing you next?
Let me think. There's been
you're allowed to
display.
Yeah,
man. You know, that's the hard part. These darn NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. And I've been working on some games recently. I'll say that much. Over the last couple of years, that I've been waiting for things to come out, and that's how long it takes for some of these games to come out.
Well, you know, I actually played your character in Tales of Luminaria.
Oh, Luminaria, yeah, Maxime Hasselman. Yeah, he's cool, man. There are some exciting things coming up. It was very exciting to be a part of the Tales franchise. But I mean, I hope you guys. Oh, hang on, my cat just says hello. Hey, say hello. I know you wanted. I know. Rocky. Yeah, I think like there's a I can't even say what they are, but there I have some playable characters coming out here, hopefully within the end of this year. Very exciting things to be a part of.
Mhm.
I think you just have to keep an eye out. I haven't got cast anything, I don't think recently that I can chat about, but I'm working on a lot of different shows. Rocky, you working on anything? No, he's just smelling it. Rocky.
It's like, I smell your voice.
Rocky seems like he's the ultimate professional in that he will not spill the beans
He will not.
to what he's working on.
It's true. He's working on filling up that belly of his because he is my large cat. But anyway, yeah, y'all. I mean, I appreciate the opportunity. I think mostly you could probably just catch me on Twitch streaming. It's just Ricco Fajardo. I stream a lot of games. Working on Elden Ring, working on a Final Fantasy franchise, one of my favorite franchises. MMO, I play Final Fantasy 14. Lots of gaming.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. That might be quite possibly my favorite MMO that I've ever played.
Dude,
all right, so what's your favorite class?
Okay, I love usually playing like rogues and DPS stuff. So like my DPS class that I like the most is between Ninja and Dragoon. Because I like being very like jumping around and do a bunch of stuff. My healer class, I really enjoy Scholar because they can do like area shield things. I like when the enemy is about to cast a massive thing and I put like a big old dome down. It's pretty cool. I'm like, not today. But most recently in life, I've been playing a Paladin, which is not my typical fare. My whole life, I've always been like the DPS rogue class, but like as I've been getting older, my brother's like, you play Paladin? I'm like, yeah, man, I love. It's just like being the vanguard, being the shield, and kind of like organizing the party to keep everyone safe. And maybe that's a conversation for another podcast about how we talk about how our classes kind of emulate what we do in life. But
I'm a big fan of the tank classes. My favorite DPS is Monk. Actually,
Monk is highest damage output. Absolutely. You gotta move a lot though, bro.
Well, I mean, it's like, it's just like clockwork. You just gotta.
Yeah, you're right.
You got your rotation around. You got to rotate.
I keep punching them all. Punch them in the booty. Punch them in the face.
I haven't really tackled the healing classes in that, just because healing's never really been my thing in MMOs for some reason. I don't know what it is.
He doesn't like other people.
Yeah. Well, see, in all honesty, I'd rather be the tank. So it's like, get me in the. I want to be in the middle of the fight. I want to be punching people.
You dictate the flow of combat.
Yeah.
And
and the other thing too is, being a tank, you get the nice out, and it's like, well, it's you guys' fault.
Yeah.
So like,
you didn't heal me enough. You didn't kill it fast enough.
If an MMO that Patrick and I play together quite a bit is DC Universe Online. And so I very much enjoy that game, and I do the rage tank in that one, and it's just kind of like, what'll happen every once in a while is, players like, and if I'm the tank in the raid, there'll be players that are getting a little big for their britches and run ahead of me, and it's just like, and then they're dead. And it's like, well, this is why you wait for me.
What's kind of funny? There's a new skin coming. Well, I guess it's old. You haven't been able to get it for like couple years now. It's called the Gato golden, like the flame skin. It's a golden knight. I play that character in Gato the animation. I play the golden knight, and so it came out. They're re-releasing it for Final Fantasy 14. I was like, oh my god, that's literally the character I play. Like in this, it's a very popular in Japan, but like stateside, it did okay. But man, you guys, I gotta get that skin. I think I have to do PvP though. I don't do a lot of PvP, so
I've never been a big PvP fan myself, because it just makes me angry, and it makes me throw things.
There's 13-year-olds that will own us.
Oh, absolutely. That's their whole thing. Don't worry, I'll heal you, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate it. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Ricco. We really appreciate you setting aside time for us.
Love chatting with you guys.
As we wrap up this time together, can we get a Go Beyond Plus Ultra from Mirio?
Oh yeah, dude, absolutely. Let's see. Let me get in character. Hang on. Here's a little keychain I got here. It'll be like a come on, get focused. Go Beyond Plus Ultra.